Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Laps Down podcast. My name is Andrea.
And I'm MJ.
And we are coming at you today with another packed weekend of motorsports. And I'm very excited. We've had some high highs and some low lows as far as entertainment value comes this weekend. But we're going to go in the order that it occurred during the day, which means we're starting with F1. Does that sound all right to you, MJ?
That sounds amazing.
Delightful, you would even say?
Delightful. Wonderful.
Okay, well, I had a delightful and a wonderful time at the Bahrain Grand Prix. It was our second race in a triple header, and so we didn't have as much in between like race drama as we sometimes get when there's like a week off, but there was some spicy stuff that we could start with, like the FIA deputy president who resigned and came out with a cunty statement about how much he hated his job, which is honestly the dream when you're quitting a job. Like, is there anything better than that? I want to do that when I quit a job.
No, that's lovely. And he got to do it so publicly. Like, he put it on social media. It wasn't even like a mean letter to his boss. He put it on social media, and he's like, I'm not leaving because I don't want to do this anymore. I'm leaving because these guys suck.
Yeah, he was like, I actually care about the sport, unlike these losers. That's crazy. But also, like, a little worrying. I don't know. There's always something about, like, when the good people are leaving the job. You're like, so what are we left with?
Right. There's no more balance anymore. It's just all the evil.
That's what I feared. Well, have fun, MBS, I guess. It's all yours. I really need somebody to run against him. But that was fun. We also had Fred Vesti was asked a little bit after FP1. He came in and did his FP1 practice for Mercedes. And he was asked about like his future, and he was like, F1 is still the plan for the future, and it's what I'm going for, including, you know, putting my hat in the ring for the Cadillac seat. And I thought, this is MJ coded news.
That's amazing news. I wasn't putting his hat in the ring for the Cadillac seat, but I guess if he is, hell yeah. I don't even think he's been in any of the considerations, like the rumors that are going around. I don't think anyone has ever been like, Fred, you know what? Manifest that, king, I guess.
I've never asked you, what is it about Fred Vesti that you love so much?
I just kind of feel bad that they keep him locked in that sim room. Did you know they keep him locked in there for 24 hours a day? Every single day. 365 days a year. Unless he's doing IMSA. Sometimes. But it's like when you're like driving home and you go through the drive-thru, he's only allowed to like eat while he uses the sim.
Oh,
and I just think that's so sad. We need to free him from his tower, his Mercedes sim room.
Well, they let him come out and get a little sun during FP1.
That was nice. That was really nice.
He was still driving a car, though.
Yeah, what is an F1 car if not a sim with wheels?
Right. Well, I'm sorry, Fred Vesti. I didn't know it was so tough on you like that. We also had a delightful interview that James Vowles was doing, in which Alex interrupted and offered us a little tidbit of information that I don't think any of us knew. Alex and Carlos treats James Vowles' office like, you know, you go to your parents' bathroom off the master bedroom because it's like the nicer bathroom in the house. They go and shit in his office before they race. Which I think is great.
It was really funny because, like, Alex had come in and he had basically said that. And they're like, oh, it's funny because Carlos came in about 5 minutes ago and tried to do that. And Alex was like, oh, he didn't, like, follow through with it? Like, he left? Yeah. He wimped out as Alex is, like, actively, like, walking by both of them to get to the bathroom.
And he said, I'll see you guys in 10 minutes. Which he also shared in that little, like...
the lie
detector test, that his legs fall asleep because he watches TikTok too much on the toilet.
Yeah, he says, all the time.
Do you think that we know too much about the drivers?
I'm slowly learning. I love Alex to death. Slowly learning too much about him.
He also said that him and Carlos are just discovering each other.
Crazy way to say that. But you know what?
And they were boyfriends. No, I'm just kidding.
The Williams boyfriends, like the Andretti boyfriends.
Yeah, I see, Santino. I can say it in a way that doesn't seem mean. You know what I mean? I say it lovingly, while as you said it hatefully.
Right.
So that was the start of this week. And then we got into free practice. It was very strange. We had 3 practice sessions this week. It wasn't like a sprint weekend or anything. Yet it felt like the practice couldn't have been more useless because all of the teams were like in FP1 and FP3. They were like, yeah, no, it's about like twice as hot as it's going to be during the race. So what the fuck am I supposed to learn from this? And I was like, that's actually a great question. Why are we doing this?
Great point. There was video of like the F3 kids even. They were like, yeah, we're absolutely not going out there. There's no reason for us to go out there when the track conditions are like this.
They're there to literally learn. Like, what is F3 if not just to get track time? And they're like, not this track time.
We don't want it, actually.
Yeah, it's not even fun. It's not even fun. I was like, okay, fair enough. So they all had FP2, which I guess was like the only representative practice time. And I think it was pretty clear that we were not going to have any one-stoppers, which I was grateful for, considering, like, I think that has been really hindering the entertainment value of F1. When we have, like, these races where it's, like, people don't even have to stop if they didn't even, like, if it wasn't required. Like, the tires are just totally fine. Like, they're cooking with gas the whole race. I definitely think, like, the more pit stops, the more strategy play, and like the more exciting stuff you can see from like the midfield teams, which we'll talk about. I think it worked. I think we got some really good midfield battles and stuff based on the opportunity for strategy. So that was fun. We had qualifying. I guess in Q1, the only real story I can think of was Liam Lawson's DRS didn't work. And so he was unable to make it in Q2. And it's, I guess, not really by a fault of his own. I will say I don't think he was putting in like hot lap times anyways, but it was a convenient excuse, I guess. I don't know. I mean, maybe he would have made it into Q2, but also it's like, it's fine that you were out in Q1. It's fine. We don't miss it. I don't know. Is that really mean?
My heart's not broken, especially with the way he raced. I was like, yeah, actually, it's probably best that you're in the back.
We'll live. We also had the beginning of the worst weekend for Williams that we've had thus far this season, I would say, based on like just the relationship that they had with the FIA. I guess one point I didn't touch on is that in FP2, Alex almost hit Luke Brownings, who's the kid that that's so mean for me to say. The
F2 driver.
The rookie, is that what they call them? What do they call the kids that don't have enough track experience that they're forced to put them on the track for FP1?
Yeah, it was a rookie.
A rookie Luke Browning. They almost ran into each other. I don't really know whose fault it was, but the FIA decided it was Williams' fault just as an organization. They were like, you weren't closely monitoring.
You weren't watching your kids. You can't let them run around like that.
You can't let them. It's like when you just have some kids, like running amok in the grocery store or something, and it's like, who is supposed to be supervising these people?
Keep a handle on your kids.
So they got fined for that. And then in Q2, or Alex was out in Q1 because of just traffic issues, but would have made it into Q2 if the FIA would have on time decided that Hülkenberg had gone off track limits and was lap time deleted. So we have no idea how good Alex could have qualified. Because
probably P1. I mean, probably.
How are we to know?
Literally, yeah. So
that's strange. So yeah, that kind of pissed me off. A lot of people were talking about like that's like one of those things where I think the FIA has to figure that out in that moment. And I think Williams is saying that maybe they didn't tattle enough. But also, I think it was just the FIA didn't have the footage around. And, like, they get told, okay, Hülkenberg might have gone off on that lap. And then they, like, go through all their footage and everything. And maybe they just didn't do it fast enough. But 40 minutes after the fact, it's too late. You've already altered the result of the race, in my opinion. And I don't think we should have started Q2 until we had that settled, in my opinion. I would rather you wait to do Q2. Just wait and figure it out, and then we do it. I don't know.
That's like their entire job. So yeah, it'd be cool if they could do it on time. The tattling thing is always so weird to me, though, in F1. It's like, well, the only way we can get them to do anything is if we tattle. It's like,
right.
The fuck are they doing in there, then? They're just sitting on their hands, just waiting for someone to be like, well, there's not an issue until someone tells us there's an issue.
Yes.
Interesting.
And what's even crazier is Hulkenberg was slow as shit all day today. With love, not his fault. The car is bad. But he was slow as shit and then also disqualified.
Yeah, the motherfucker got disqualified. And he took away Alex's pole position.
I mean, that's crazy. You're just going to take Alex Albon's pole position.
First one
just to get qualified. Yeah, I mean, it would have been the first one for Williams in God knows how long.
3,500 years, and they took it away. I don't know. Williams
could be like still P4 in the Constructors' Championship if we would have allowed him to get his pole position. I mean, he
something to think about.
Could have converted that into a win. And like, when's the last time we had a Williams win? And we've never had an Alex Albon win. Honestly, I'm about to cry.
I gotta be honest. Hulk is kind of getting on my bad side.
I can't believe the FIA would do this.
It's messed up, and think he would have helped Carlos so much through qualifying that Carlos wouldn't have been back in an area where he could have potentially been endangered. So
no, he would have given him a tow because he would have already had his pole position.
Exactly,
like just a banker. You know what I mean?
Egg.
It's actually, the more I talk about it, the more disappointed I am.
I'm just really upset, I think.
So, wow. What is this sport? You know what I mean?
Pinnacle motorsport.
Whatever. So, the FIA continues to hate on Williams. You know what I mean? And I've had it. And I think it's time we wrap it up with MBS. As if all of this wasn't enough. You know what I mean? The sexism and the not doing your job and the, everything else. But like taking Alex's win, it's too far. So also in Q2, we have Esteban Ocon crashing. His car looked a lot worse than I think the crash actually was. It was kind of crazy. His car looked crumpled to shit, but like the crash didn't even seem like it would cause that much damage. But the commentators are like, "Oh, I remember this corner. This is where Roman Grosjean almost died in a Haas." And I was like, "Right,
crazy."
So, let's
keep it to yourself.
Out of the car to share these things. You know what I mean? Let's keep it to ourselves. And I felt so bad for Esteban. I mean, he sounded crushed on the radio. He was like so apologetic to the team. I definitely think that Io was so convinced of Haas's potential in this race, and he felt like he had let down the whole team. And I just, to this day, I still don't understand how people hate on Esteban. Like, I try to like be understanding of their point of view, but I'm like, I think this is the sweetest man ever.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to have to stop hating on him. I love
him. I love both of the Haas boys. Truly.
They were so precious. And like, I don't know. I just, especially after last week, Esteban helping Jack Doohan get out of the car.
Yeah.
When he saw he could, oh my God, guys, can we stop the Esteban hate? Lapsdown is coming out and saying it's gone too far. I know he's French. And I know that's hard for you guys to get past. You know what I mean? I know he's French.
But he's half American now. And that's something that you have to think about. He loves Spider-Man, which is an American character, which means he's half American. The logic that we're pulling from today is like...
How would him liking Spider-Man make him half American, MJ?
How would Alex Albon making it to Q2 mean he gets pole position? I don't know. I'm writing my own story as I go. Spider-Man is American.
Tom Holland isn't, though.
Okay, and? What does that have to do with anything? Esteban Ocon is French.
Andrew
Let me
Garfield
connect.
Andrew Garfield also
You know who
is
is American? Tobey Maguire, which is Esteban Ocon's favorite Spider-Man. So,
really?
Something to think about.
Esteban's favorite Spider-Man? Oh.
No idea.
I I really fucking believed you.
It might be.
You know what else has to stop the lies?
You know what? No. If they can do it on F1 TV, I can do it here.
No, that's so true. That's so true. You know what? She got me there, guys. So I guess that was it for Q2. Q3, we had, I don't know. I think Oscar Piastri is just like, he realized he was like, oh, we're doing this qualifying thing. Like, if I don't qualify the best, I don't get like preference. Okay, I guess I'll just have to be the greatest qualifier known to mankind. Then I'll have to probably do that. So he puts in a monster lap, and Lando Norris is in 6th at the end of Q3.
P6. Mm-hmm.
Lando Norris washed. I'm just kidding. Well, unless, I don't know. What were your thoughts on the qualifying positions of Lando Norris?
I was like, yeah, no, that makes sense. It was, it was just like, yeah, no, I mean, I'm watching him race. Like, it makes sense that he qualified there. That's how he was. Well, no, that wasn't how he was performing all weekend. They were doing very well all weekend, but
They were running away with it.
the issue is when push comes to shove, he can't. Time and time again, I'm not saying this because I don't like him, but time and time again, he underperforms when push comes to shove, which just sucks for McLaren. Great for Oscar, though, because Oscar didn't have to deal with.
I think if you just look at, like, he got P6, and, you know, who else got a pretty bad qualifying performance? You know, Max Verstappen. You know, he was right back there with Max, you know, so, and that's his other rival for the championship. I think it is what it is that he got P6. It happens. What bothered me was the attitude afterwards of, I felt like I've never drove an F1 car before. I just don't think we have to share this much. You know what I mean? I understand that Lando is like all about honesty and he answers these journalist questions like however, but to me, I just feel like even if you are so fucking mentally defeated, which he clearly is, don't you have to fake it till you make it a little bit? Like, once you answer questions saying, oh, I felt like I've never drove an F1 car before, you know that that's the narrative for the rest of the weekend. All the questions you get on Sunday are going to be about that. Everybody's going to be looking at you being like, oh, he's not ready for a championship out. And you're kind of putting that on yourself.
Yeah. And it doesn't help that he kind of drove like that for the race. He had so many different issues, but he needs to be able to like snap out of it. Like any other person that would have gotten P6 when their teammate got P1 would have been like, I'm just looking forward to the race tomorrow. You know, I have to get in like the race headspace. But immediately it was just like, yeah, no, I fucked it all up. Everything is bad. Everything is terrible. I don't deserve to be here. I've never driven an F1 car before.
Just like so defeatist.
And like saying those things like kind of makes them true. Like he's gonna start to believe, whether he believes them or not. Like people argue that he's just doing it for pity, and I'm like, it's okay. It's not gonna work.
Why does he need pity?
What
does he need from me?
You don't need pity. You have a fast car. You don't need pity.
Go out and prove me
Drive
wrong.
the car.
You know what? Here, Lando girlies, I'm gonna do you guys a favor. Hi, Lando. I'm a hater. I would like you to just prove me wrong. Shut me the fuck up. Make me, like, eat my fucking words. That's what most people would do when they're in a championship fight. Instead of being like, you're right, I suck.
Yeah, he just needs to... I think, and I really think that his performance today in the race was just insane. Some of the mistakes he was making, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Literally.
But I'm like, where did this come from? Like,
before the race
it didn't happen.
Started.
Yes. He was over his grid box. I don't know if they did this on F1 TV, but Sky kept saying it was the car's fault. And I was like, okay.
What? How is it the car's fault?
The car moved forward. They go, he probably didn't do it intentionally. And I was like, okay, so I've been watching now for 3 years? The amount of times I've seen false starts, majority of them were Lando. So I'm starting to think the car's...
press the gas.
I gotta be honest, I don't think these are those, like, what are they called? Like Waymo cars that, like, drive themselves. I do think there has to be a driver in the cockpit to move the car, and I think it was really, although Sky Sports, the whole entire time, they would just find ways to rag on Max, and I was like, he's not even in the conversation.
Really?
But
they were like glazing Max on F1 TV
No,
because
dude.
they showed the onboard from Max's car, and you can see Lando pulls in perfectly into his box, and then for some reason he just like hits the gas and comes forward a little bit more. And Max immediately goes, Lando's outside his pit box. And F1 TV was like, yep, he's on his ass. He got him. Sniper Max. That's what I'm talking about. But
the narrative was completely different on Sky Sports. Everything that Max did, they were always like, oh, Max, can't you just like drive the car? And I was like, he's not.
Best part, he can drive the car and tattle. He can tattle. He's so good at tattling.
That is a multifaceted man. Also, if he didn't say anything, apparently we wouldn't have ever gotten a ruling from the...
Yeah,
that's how F1 works.
Yeah, they didn't say anything until Max was like, wee you, over there. You see his ass outside his box. Better get him. That's crazy. I think that tattling is a talent. I don't know. What are your opinions? Do you hate when... There's a lot of people that don't like when F1 drivers tattle. I think George Russell does this a lot too. I personally think it's funny. And I also think it is a talent. Like the fact that they can be so aware of their own race while also finding reasons to tattle on other people. Like last week we had Max being like, hey, they might need to check when Lando decided to start accelerating in the pit lane because I think it must have been too early because where the fuck did he come from? And they're like, Max, focus. But he's like, I am focused and I'm also focused on his dumbass. And I think it's a talent. I don't know.
That's the reason I got into F1 because I accidentally watched an F1 race and it was Lando and Lewis kept tattling on each other and Austria. And I was like, what is this shit show? I like it.
And just like I love drivers tattling, I also love drivers doing analysis. There was like, and I'll give Lando this, I thought it was funny. They were like, George is on the radio talking about how nervous he is to make it to the end on his soft tires. And Lando was like, yeah, I don't know why he's nervous. In my opinion, I think the soft tires are right on. I think that's a really good strategy from the Mercedes pit box. I'm like,
hell yeah. Okay.
Why? Why are we doing this? But okay. I think it's great. I'm all for multitasking. But yeah, so Lando, he starts off with, well, at first I thought Lando had a banger start. He went from 6th to 3rd. Like I literally had to like rewatch it like 4 times to be like, where the fuck did you come from? He had a bang on start, which is interesting because he has been having good starts all year. Comparatively to what we were criticizing him about on every episode last year, it was always, oh, he can't do starts, he can't do restarts, he can't do whatever. This year, he must have worked on it.
Clearly, yeah, he's clearly worked on it, and props to him, because that was insane.
Yeah, I literally had to be like, okay, don't take over Oscar. Now we're doing a little too much. I literally was like, he's getting too fast, and I was getting nervous. But yeah, it was a false start. He then has later on a restart that I was like, oh, okay, we're back. We're back to Lando restarts. He restarts and he overtakes Hamilton off track and he is forced to give up the position. So that was less than ideal. He, I guess, like had just other errors, like other lockups and stuff when he was battling with Charles. He overall just had like a pretty sloppy race, but this just actually goes to show, in my opinion, has solidified. I will not believe anybody when they say that McLaren's car isn't as fast as we think it is. I'm so tired of this narrative coming out of McLaren of like, it's actually not the car, it's the drivers. How the fuck did he still get on podium with how sloppy this race was? Any other car would not have gotten away with half of this shit. He literally served a 5-second penalty for the false start and then was fine and on podium.
Yeah, it's 100% the car. 100%.
And I say that with love. As an Oscar Piastri fan, I'm not saying that he's out here doing some magical shit. Like, I just am like, he's in a rocket ship. I don't know.
He just knows how to control the rocket ship. Lando just has to figure out how to control the rocket ship, and he's golden.
Yeah. I think that, yeah, I'm tired of the propaganda coming out of McLaren that their car isn't that fast. Lies.
They think we're stupid. We're not stupid. We see the races.
I'm watching. I'm fucking clocked in. I see it. I don't know. But we also had, like, generally just kind of a sloppy race from a lot of people. And I wanted to get back to Williams here. So Carlos had some ups and some downs in this race. There was times where they were like, oh, Carlos just got overtaken by 2 cars. And I was like, okay, what's going on? And then he would overtake them back. He was racing with Kimi a lot. And then at some points he was racing with Yuki a lot, who was desperate for points because he wants to prove the second seat rumors wrong. And Yuki and him both kind of knocked into each other while going wheel to wheel. And I did not find out till later. It put a fucking hole in the Williams. Did you know it put a hole in the Williams?
No.
I didn't know it put a hole in the Williams.
It was a huge gaping hole in the side pod of the Williams. And I was like, how is he still allowed to drive? But he drove for a hot minute after that. And was doing fine.
They said on F1 TV, oh, the debris is probably from Yuki. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, makes sense because Yuki kind of like oversteered into Carlos. So I was like,
they kept telling us the debris was from the Williams, both of the Williams cars. And I was like, yeah, that's likely place for debris to be. But I hadn't seen any, we didn't see the Yuki Carlos incident until after he retired. And I was like, oh.
Oh, really?
We could have, no.
Oh, we saw
because
it live.
I thought it happened with Kimi when he tried to kill Kimi.
No, he tried to kill Kimi later on, but he had a hole in his side at the time. So, like, can you blame the guy? He was desperate. So we get some debris on track, and they do a full safety car. And I'm kind of torn. Some people were like, this could have been a virtual safety car. But I was texting you, and I was like, just on the side of caution, I think we should just go ahead and safety car and get this debris off. Because I could see in my eye, like Raven Simone style.
You're like,
I was like, somebody's gonna hit that debris, bro. Like, I was like, we're about to get some popped fucking tires.
Yeah.
And a lot of the drivers were like, yeah, no, that pissed me off because like I then had to do a whole safety car restart. But I was like, it was kind of fun. Because then on the restart, we got Carlos trying to kill Kimi. We got everybody bunched back up together, you know, so that the McLaren rocket ship at the front had to participate with the class. I thought it was great. I thought it was super fun. But
I had no issues with it, but I also don't drive an F1 car. I was just happy that they did something about the debris. Because they're like, there's debris, and I was just like, yeah, no, I've actually watched this before. I know exactly what's going to happen. But they were like, a safety car's coming out. I didn't know they knew how to do that.
So in the safety car restart, Carlos tries to kill Kimi. He gets a 10-second penalty. They've already been like, there's a hole in the side of his car. So he just served like his 10-second penalty, went one more lap, and then retired. You said, is it time to start the second seat curse for Williams? Do you want to double down on that on air, or was that just like a in the moment MJ feeling?
I mean, name one second seat for Williams. Just name one driver for Williams that wasn't Alex Albon that like had an okay time in the car.
George. But
but he wasn't with Alex. Was he?
True. No.
Yeah. That's my theory. Is it started when Alex got there.
Okay. Fair. Okay.
Although I do I have no, like, I'm not worried at all about Williams and Carlos. Like, literally at all. Not a sweat. He's gonna be so fine. Like, genuinely, I've never been this amped up about Williams in my entire... I'm trying not to be too amped up, because it is still run by James Fallows.
No, let's get amped. Let's get amped.
I think it's going in a good direction. Unfortunately, going from a Ferrari to a Williams, that's culture shock.
Right. No, you show up and you're like, the nicest bathroom in this place is in my boss's office.
My boss's office. It's actually the only bathroom in this place.
But Carlos on the way out, he like gives like a parting thought, and they're like, you got a 10-second penalty for trying to kill Kimi. And he's like, okay, fine, I tried to kill Kimi, but what about Yuki? He tried to kill me. And
yeah.
Like, the FIA said that they're not going to do anything about that. And he's like, this is bullshit. As they're like pulling him back in the garage, his voice is fading away. He's like, this is bullshit. He was so pissed. But I don't know. A lot of people were kind of back and forth about Yuki getting a penalty. I do think it was a racing incident. I don't think Yuki purposely hit him. Well, he literally just like oversteered. Carlos was really close to him. It happens. But I don't know. still kind of like, I feel like this is the FIA hating on Williams. I don't know how.
Didn't they make a change to it after the race, though? Didn't they take that 10-second away?
I mean, he served it and then retired, so that would be crazy.
Well, they were like, yeah, he's probably... I mean, he's already out. We might as well fix it now. They're like, we really fucked over Alex's pole, too. It's like, we might as well just, like, wipe our hands clean of it. Maybe they didn't. I might be lying. I'm so gullible. Whenever someone posts one of those, like, fake FIA documents, I'm like, yeah, well, I guess that's the truth. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. Kimi, as if getting almost killed by Carlos wasn't enough. I felt so bad for him this race because he actually was driving so good, MJ. He was putting the moves on Lewis Hamilton, putting the moves on Max Verstappen. He was driving like a fucking menace. He was like almost four wheels off the track trying to pass people, but like would just keep like a little something on there to keep like the track limits good. He was driving like he isn't a rookie at all. But you wouldn't know that because the Mercedes strategy for him was so ass.com the remakes that he was having to like fight his way through the field like every 2 seconds because everything was just wrong for him. So I'm putting Mercedes on fraud watch because we advocated for you guys to get the good upgrade in Miami, but you guys are not acting like winners. And then
you're not acting like you deserve it.
No, George's car doesn't even fucking work. He's like, hey, is it a problem that all the electronics are broken? And they were like, we'll just have to manually DRS from now on.
That was crazy when he was like, they were like, okay, so we actually have a way to override DRS. They gave us a code. I was like, who gave you the code? And then they were like, but you're actually not allowed to use DRS until we tell you. So just like, don't do anything and we'll like let you know when you can use DRS. And then who else? Lando also got the same, like you cannot use DRS unless you are positive you are within 1 second.
Because George's transponder for his times were broken, so he was fucked up on the timesheet. They kept like being like he's in 20th, and like they would come over the like broadcast and they'd be like, I promise guys he's in second.
Dude, they didn't do that for my broadcast. I just go, what the fuck? Like, did he crash into a wall and we're just not gonna talk about it? And then finally you were like, no, he's fine. But
because his transponder was broken, it was broken for everybody. So Lando didn't know if he was within 1 second of George. So he didn't know if he could use DRS to overtake.
So Mercedes fucked it up for all of them.
No, literally he was like off the grid. George was off the grid. He was just like
sneaky.
fucking around. Like he was like a mysterious man. He was pulling an Alex Palou. So maybe that's what Alex Palou does. We don't know it, but he just like unplugs his transponder and that's how he sneaks up to like top 5.
Yeah, don't look at me, don't acknowledge me, I'm gonna do something real quick.
But it actually was funny because at the end, George was managing to stay in front of Lando, and I can't help but to think, like, if his transponder wasn't broken and Lando could more certainly use DRS easier, I think it could have been a McLaren one too, but I don't really care enough to do anything about it.
I'll take the gifts where I can get them.
Yeah.
We had George Russell P2.
But I think he was like also saying that like just everything generally was fucked up. Like one lap the brake would like be going long and then the next lap like it wouldn't, and like all of the shit on the dash was going out, and they were like, hey, like don't even worry about it, everything's just gonna go ahead and turn off on your steering wheel. It's still working probably maybe, but just 3 laps to go, please don't break anything more.
At what point do you like retire the car? I bet if he was like further back, they would have been like, it's not worth it. But they were like,
he's in second place.
P2.
Yeah.
You think you can get her home with no lights on?
It's like that friend that like dropped their iPhone in the lake, but like they just put it in rice for like 5 days and they're like insistent that it'll all be fine.
It'll be fine. And like, it'll turn on.
Like, I don't know. I think you should go ahead and get a new one, probably. But yeah, shout out to George for making it work. But Mercedes, I'm losing a little bit of faith in your ability to act like winners here. So maybe your Miami upgrade is on hold in the laps down offices. We're going to review all the data and see if you guys deserve it. We might have to give it to somebody else if you guys aren't going to use it properly. Because look, McLaren has a rocket ship and they don't know how to use it properly. With great
we can't have 2
power.
teams.
comes great responsibility.
Oh my god. My friend Esteban would really love that.
Well, you know what else Esteban probably loves? That they got double Haas points.
Wow.
What is the... Okay, so we say like points for Williams points. What are Haas points? Soints. It doesn't work.
Points?
Points and sauce. Points.
I don't even know. We'll have to think on it.
Yeah, so Esteban went from crashing and qualifying yesterday to getting points today. He had an absolute monster of a race. You know who else had a monster of a race? Ollie Behrman.
He went from dead last on the grid to P10. And he didn't get driver of the day, which is why I think we need to retire driver of the day. Lewis Hamilton got driver of the day. He went up 5 spots. Driver of the day?
No, there was
driver of the day.
They were like, if you would have watched the race, like you would know why Lewis got driver of the day. I'm like, dude, I promise I was clocked in. I really did not see driver of the day for him. But like, go off King, I guess. Like, I don't know what the fuck he was cook. The only time I saw him was like when like Kimmy was overtaking him or something. Like, I don't know.
Driver of the day. Screen. He's in a Ferrari and he moved up 5 spots on the grid. Ollie Behrman is in a Haas and made it to points. Yeah, I don't know. I just think
points.
I'm tired. Points.
You know what? I think maybe we have to like institute this if I can remember it. There's a chance I'll never remember to do this. We should just start saying who our driver of the day is, kind of like how we do NASCAR fan favorite.
Okay. Ollie.
It's between Ollie and Kimmy for me, and I'm going with Ollie.
I could even give it to Esteban.
That's so true.
And this is a big weekend after they have announced that they're broke, that they got double points.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought they were on fucking tariff hit list. Turns out they're fine.
Tariff does not raise the price on points, though, apparently, so...
No.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, Gene. Gene. Not the
Gene Haas is so thrilled, bro. So, yeah, Ferrari, I don't know. They had, like, some drama with strategy, I guess. Like, Charles thought he could do a one-stop, and Ferrari was like, no. But I guess that would have been fun.
They should have let him. I think the fact that they said no to him hurt my feelings. I was like, fuck. I get what all these Charles fans were about. Because he was like, I want to go on the softs. And they're like, probably fuck you mediums. And I was like, okay, let him go on the softs. Let's see what he can do. Heaven forbid a man has a dream.
Okay. The Ferrari is not slow enough that it's going to fall out of points. And they were not on track for a podium. So why not do something cool?
Why not?
They just try. It could be fun.
Put yourself out
cars. There. You have 2 cars. Don't do it on Lewis and then do it on Charles. And Charles asked for it. So if it doesn't work out, you can be like, it's what you asked for.
Be like, stop giving us shit every weekend for bad strategy. You can't do it either.
It's just some weird internal battle. See what happens, Charles, when we let you make your own decisions?
Maybe you should leave it up to the professionals, Charles.
I thought it would have been fun. Maybe it's because I'm not a Ferrari fan, but I was like, let him do it.
Maybe he could have done something crazy with all those battles with Lando if he was on softs. I don't know. I'm a hopeful. I like to explore every alternative.
Let's get creative again in F1. You know what I mean? Like,
bring back whimsy.
No, literally. Like, also imagine like how sick it would have been if he would have won.
That would have been crazy. Like the one time George was like, I'm going to do a one stop. And then he got disqualified.
He got disqualified.
That wouldn't have happened here. I know it wouldn't have.
Okay. Maybe it would have. Maybe that's why they didn't let him do it.
That could have been fun too.
Maybe they were like, Charles, you don't know how maths works, but you don't have enough fuel to hit weight.
They said, you know what? If Carlos said it, we would have been like, that's fine because he's taken some engineering classes. But Charles, you've never taken an engineering class. We can't trust you to tell us whether you're on mediums or softs.
Do you think that in Carlos's engineering classes, he could have figured out how to fix the pit lights for Red Bull?
Dude.
What the fuck was that?
That was ridiculous. Also, so I guess I don't really understand how those little pit exit lights work. Are they controlled by Red Bull? Like, is that a Red Bull sanctioned thing? Also, what happened? There was a guy. There used to be a guy who would do the little lollipop.
Maybe he got hit too many times. I don't know. But they have like a light that I think Red Bull like clicks a button that like makes it okay, you can go. I think Red Bull was clicking the button, but the light wasn't changing. But what's so funny is that it got both of them. So like it got Max first, and then Yuki comes in, and they do the same thing.
Same
I'm like,
shit.
why not just like have a manual like why don't you just radio and say go?
Give him a thumbs up. Get one of those fucking lollipop things that everyone else is using.
What happens if Christopher Bell's iPad doesn't work?
You have to put an iPhone out there. They put out like a little one of those little time sand things. You know what I'm talking about? Those little sand timers, and they just hold that for them.
We've lost all the F1 fans. I don't know. There's a NASCAR driver who has a little iPad that says he can go, and so
it shows like a progress bar.
They flip that shit around. It says 20%, 25, 30. Okay. Anyways, yeah. So they should just get an iPad. Probably that'll fix it. Just have a little iPad that turns green when they can go. And then George was investigated for his DRS issue. I don't think it ever came to anything. And then Oscar won the race, and it was super sick. They had probably the most insane fireworks display I've ever seen in my life. New life goal. Like, can we go to this race just for the fireworks? Even the commentators were like, this fireworks is fucking crazy.
I don't think I saw them.
What? The fireworks were insane. Like, the commentators couldn't even focus on anything, but they were like, there's still more. They're like, guys, I'm happy to report there's more fireworks. It was like going on for like 10 minutes. It was all around the track. They were like, oh, I think this is the grand finale. There's more fireworks. Fully, Oscar's like in the cool down room. They're still doing fireworks. It was insane. But we get to the cool down room, and Lando is like embarrassed, clearly. And there's like this like video of Lando, I think, passing Hamilton on the restart where he had to give the spot back up, and he was like, oh my god, who is that? And I think Oscar, I don't think he realized he was like being sarcastic. He goes, well, that's you, because I was in front.
Bless his heart.
Bless his heart. But yeah, Oscar had a great time. He won. I think he's now second in the World Drivers' Championship to Lando, and behind maybe by 3 points. Should I check?
Nah, say whatever you want.
Okay, hold on. World Drivers' Championship standings. I'm Googling it, guys. Don't worry. Okay. So we have Lando, and then Oscar, and then Max, and then George. And Oscar has 74, and Lando has 77. Okay, let's do that math. 75, 76, 70. Yeah, 3.
3 points. Look at you.
I should have just went with what I felt, you know what I mean?
That's
even
what
if I feel
I was
like it might
saying.
be untrue. Yeah, you're right. So that's exciting. Woo! And also they kept saying like this is like a second home race for McLaren, and I had to literally ask you and be like, what the fuck are we talking about? And it turns out McLaren is owned by the Bahrain Sovereign Wealth Fund. Nobody was going to tell me that.
It's very Penske vibes, if I'm being completely honest.
I literally was like, what? What do you mean? I was like, Bahrain is McLaren's second home race? That's insane. And then I was like, oh, turns out you're right. Should we get a laps down sovereign wealth fund? What would we invest in?
Something up and coming, like Carson Hocevar or Ollie Behrman, but we would sponsor the drivers. Do they do that in F1? They don't like sponsor a single driver. You have to take the team, don't you?
Yeah, but like usually they're in it for a single driver. Like I think like Quad Lock, like they only give a fuck about Oscar, but like they're considered a McLaren sponsor.
Oh,
but it's like they only post about Oscar. They don't give a fuck about Lando with peace and love. I think I would just like fill in for where Pitbull left off at Trackhouse because I feel like they need the money.
Yeah, they do need the money. They need something.
They need something.
They desperately need something.
I would fill in where they left off. So next week we have Saudi Arabia for F1. I'm very excited. I hope Oscar wins. Ding. That's all I have. Final thoughts, MJ, on F1?
Hulkenberg, count your freaking days, dude.
That's crazy that last year you were like, I love Haas, including Hulkenberg. And then this year you're like,
he went to Steak. Get fucked.
Keep an eye on that guy. I'm just saying. Yeah. Hulkenberg fraud watch. Heard it here first. Anywho, on to NASCAR.
I
think. No, go ahead. Say your joke.
I didn't have one. I just I started to. I understand why you thought that I did have one because I kind of started the sentence.
I didn't mean to make you feel that
but
way.
Yeah. Okay. You can go
Anywho,
now.
So when I tell people, oh, I'd like to watch NASCAR, and they go, isn't that the most boring sport on earth? They literally just drone on and drive in circles for 500 laps or whatever. Isn't that so boring? I'm always like, no, you just don't get her like I do. You know what I mean? This is the race that people are talking about. This is the type of race that makes people not want to watch NASCAR anymore. It was so... Oh my God, my eyes were fucking bleeding. I was so bored. I can't even express. I was like, of course MJ gets to watch the fucking IndyCar race with sound on. I have the IndyCar race with sound off, watching this bore fest. I was so mad. But I don't know. I guess it is what it is. I mean,
it was like this last year, though, too. And they promised. They promised up and down. They said, there's going to be so much gosh darn tire dead that your heads are gonna spin, dude. There's gonna be so much tire dead that actually we preemptively are going to give you each an extra set of tires because the deg is gonna be so much.
They literally all weekend we're like, guys, you're not going to believe the info we're getting from track right now. Guys, we have high intel coming from Bristol. Look at these tires. It's zoomed in pictures of fucking randos wheeling off tires and being like, during the Xfinity race, guys, you guys don't even understand the tire deg that was happening here. And I was like, yeah, but it doesn't matter because Kyle Larson is still leading all of the laps. So I don't know if that's an issue or not. And then what do you know? They're like, actually... Sorry, the tires are completely fine. Sorry. That was on
They were
us.
like, yeah, we didn't account for the fact that the rubber would just melt in to the track. We didn't even think about that. Isn't that your job, Goodyear?
They're like, well, Goodyear didn't expect the sun to be out today.
Oh yeah, so heaven forbid.
It throws a wrench in the whole plan because they were really banking on the sun being firmly tucked away, and she's out today, so we don't know what to do. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I guess that was the race there. I mean, Kyle Larson was like, thank you very much, and he just did whatever.
He did exactly what he did last night, which was led the whole time and then won.
But he didn't win the truck race, and that makes me feel good. So shout out to the people in the truck race that beat him. That was so sick of you. I'm so
shout
happy
out
we didn't have to hear about this, dude. Shout out Chandler. I'm so happy we didn't have to hear about this triple bullshit. Ugh. How many times do I have to watch Kyle Larson in an Xfinity race? I'm tired of it. Get him out of there.
What is he doing in there?
Like it. He's picking on fucking kids, okay? And I don't like it. But anyways, good for him. The track absorbed the rubber, and Kyle Larson won. Alex Bowman was on pole, and then his engine just took a shit, which I think may be rigged. I think maybe they fucked with his engine so Kyle Larson could lead all the laps, which is really upsetting.
They just don't want Alex Bowman to win. There's no reason he shouldn't have won. Well, besides Kyle Larson. Or gotten second. But then, yeah, they're like, oh yeah, my engine's blowing up. Okay, don't do that.
It's weird because they leave them out there for quite a while after they've discovered an issue with his engine. I don't know what the like SOPs are for that. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what they're supposed to do when somebody says like, "Hey, by the way, my engine's blowing up and everything's smoking and everything." I didn't think he was leave them out there for another like 15 laps, but I guess that is how you do it.
No, you have to pull off to the side, you open up the hood, you keep your hazards on, and you just hope you didn't get hit by oncoming traffic. That's what he should have done.
Right. Okay. Well, keep that in mind next time, Hendrick Motorsports. But yeah, that was really upsetting to me. There was the tire incident on pit road. Do you want to give us the rundown on that?
So they first framed it as John Hunter Nemechek. He had a loose lug nut on his front left, and his wheel came off, and it bounced into the back of Daniel Suarez's car that was pitting. So that's what we saw, and that was the conversation. What we didn't see was Daniel Suarez, as they were taking off his front right and they went to roll it around, it completely went off into, I think it was Corey LaJoie's pit box, and like fucked with the fueler. Yeah. Like it got in the way of operations. So as this wheel was bouncing down, hitting the back of Daniel Suarez's car, his wheel was going off and hitting Corey LaJoie's. And it was genuinely one of the most funny things. Like you could have put like circus music behind it. It was like, this was a shit show. So that happened, I guess.
Fox Broadcasting for you. I had no idea. Thank God somebody put that on Instagram for us so that we could see. Yeah. Carson Hocevar also had a botched pit stop. He was doing so good. He was riding the fucking Dente, guys.
Dude, I have never seen the Dente ridden that hard in my days of NASCAR.
Ride the Dente. That's what was happening. It was happening.
He was like, riding that Dente.
I was like, it's all happening. It's all coming together. He's riding the Dente. He's going to win. And then they just forgot how to take tires off, I guess.
I am defeated for Carson. I'm not excited to see his tweet tomorrow to Jeff Gluff when they ask if he had a good race.
How does he come up with those memes?
Jeff Gluck.
Yeah, I was going to let you say Jeff Gluff because I'm tired of being a dick and correcting you during the podcast over stupid stuff. I've decided, hey guys, huge news. Andrea's decided not to be a dick anymore. Woo!
Wow.
He's really good at those memes. You're pretty good at memes,
dude,
Carson.
And they're really, really funny. Poor guy.
That sucks. Anyways, Blaney, for a little bit there, I thought was going to maybe win. I don't know if anybody else thought that, but I did. He was doing really well on going super long on his tires. And everybody, all the stats they were giving, they're like, Blaney's actually the best at going long on his tires. And I was like, well, that's handy for right now. I'm like, that's so sick. He's going to win. Spoiler alert, he didn't. So.
Didn't he get fifth? That. Wasn't it fifth?
Maybe. There was only like 9 cars on the lead lap. So. He was one of those. Yeah, I don't know. Is that a good race when they're all
it's
down? I don't feel like it's a good race if only 9
it
cars
is
are on the lead lap.
Short track race. Me just trying to find a reason that it was fine. I mean, to be fair, there wasn't a lot of places for them to go if you think about it. Where else were they to go if not directly into traffic?
I just think if the best overtakes that we're seeing in a race is them overtaking lapped cars, I don't think that's fun. I'm going to take maybe NASCAR fans are going to be like, this is where I disown Andrea. I was happy with her being a new fan, but now this is where I draw the line. I don't think it's fun to watch a race where the only overtakes that happen are them overtaking lapped cars.
Yeah. We got to figure something out with this short track situation, these shorter ovals. IndyCar can't do it either, if that makes you feel any better. However, they're all NASCAR owned tracks. But it's like, make the tires different, give them more. I know people are always talking about that horsepower. Put some horsepower in them cars. Me pretending like I understand what horsepower means. Yeah, make them faster. I don't know.
I think that the Chili's car should be able to ride the Dente much faster than that.
You should be flying off into the sunset on that Dente, in my opinion.
I think that's what I think. So, yeah, I wish I understood what the fuck was going on. I just was like, this is so boring. I would rather die. I think I would rather die than watch this race again. So you didn't miss much. If you're not a NASCAR fan and you thought, should I tune into NASCAR?
Not this one.
You picked a good weekend not to. It was funny, during the most boring NASCAR race of all time, they kept telling the audience, after this is done, there's going to be an IndyCar race. At that point, the IndyCar race had already been happening for like an hour. They kept saying, right after this on Fox, go watch IndyCar. I was like, IndyCar is going to have 20 laps left by the time this is over. That's...
I don't even think it didn't even take him to IndyCar. Like, it didn't, like, you know how sometimes it'll, like, bring you over? It went to the NHRA, as it always does every single weekend, forever, for always.
Mm-hmm. I think that they would have been better off just halfway through coming through and being like, hey, guys, this is Fox Sports here. This is not good racing. You should just go over to the other one.
Go watch IndyCar. Although, to be fair, IndyCar wasn't that great either.
Okay,
if you would have told me...
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you would have told me this weekend that Bahrain was going to be the most exciting of the 3 races, I would have been shocked.
It was.
It by far.
If Bahrain was like Suzuka last week, this podcast episode would be 20 minutes long.
We would boycott this podcast episode. I'd say I'm not doing it. I'll put out a tweet.
Do we have a get out of jail free card where we can just be like, hey guys, the races were all boring this week. We're not posting an episode?
I mean, I think we should. I think if that does happen, we just come on here and we lie about everything that happened. We just make it entertaining. Like I was doing earlier.
We can just talk about whatever.
You and I could just like get to know each other. We could just like tell stories and like have.
We could discover each other, like Alex and Carlos.
We could have a moment of discovery. That'd be really beautiful.
Yeah, it would be really beautiful. So yeah, let's do our fan favorite and then talk about the IndyCar race. It was boring, the IndyCar race, but it wasn't that boring. But let's do our fan favorite.
It's pretty boring. Yeah, let me think. You go first. I think I have. There's a couple. I can't do Carson Hocevar again. But my other alternate that I would do is someone who I also do a lot.
I'm doing one that I do a lot. I'm sorry. He earned it. 1, 2, 3, Ryan.
Ryan Preece.
I'm sorry. He earned it this week.
He leaned so hard into having the pink car. Like he was doing TikToks. They were posting like Front Row Motorsport. They were posting like little like he's in the Barbie dream car. Like they did a really good. I don't know what the sponsor was. Pepto?
No,
did I make that up?
I don't know what it definitely wasn't Pepto. It was something, but it was pink. Again, as we spoke earlier, having the pink car, with great power comes great responsibility. You know what I mean? And nobody could have handled it better than Ryan Preece. I'm so happy he got the pink car. Just like Carson Hocevar and Justin Haley have done an amazing job with the Ride the Dente car. If you're going to have a camp car and you're boring, it's going to piss me off. So thank God we had Ryan Preece. He did a SpongeBob audio.
Oh, yeah, the Alaskan bullworm. That was really funny. God. He just seems to be putting in an effort that I feel like a lot of the other drivers, like even the young drivers, I feel like aren't putting in the effort the way he is. I was really surprised to see him like doing all these socials. He makes watching NASCAR fun. What can I say,
love
guys?
Ryan Preece. I love
He's doing a really good job.
He posts like the little vlog thing of like them playing wiffle ball.
Oh yeah,
and he was like
Chris Buescher.
Yeah, he was like, I'm really bad, and I don't think I'm going to even make contact with the ball. And I was like, that is so endearing, Ryan. I love you.
No, he just seems like a great guy, and he's good at race cars. And we're going to a super speedway next, and I'm not excited about that.
I'm scared. Everybody raise your hand if you're scared.
Ryan, please sit out Talladega. We can hang out. You can be on the podcast. Put someone else in the car.
I'm so excited to... honestly, our first NASCAR race that we go to, I really hope and pray that Carson is riding the Dente, and maybe if we could get another Ryan Preece pink car. I think if we could just put in requests now, like I would like to see that for the Roval, please.
Absolutely. Oh my God, that would make the Roval so magical.
Mm-hmm. And SVG was in a purple car.
Yeah.
We didn't see it very much.
No, he was
saw it spin around a little
purple
bit.
car 78 laps down.
But like the pod. He was doing a tribute to the pod. Laps down.
Oh my God, he knows about us. I love him to death.
With love.
You gotta figure out how to do an oval. Like, genuinely, ride or die. He's my favorite driver. We have to figure out how to do an oval. I don't know what we need to do. We have to figure it out.
What if he just, like, keeps doing well at road courses and then just, like, gets through enough of the playoffs by just winning the road courses?
That would be fine, but he's gonna lose Rookie of the Year. He's gonna lose Rookie of the Year to fucking Riley? That's insane. Okay. That's insane.
I don't know how the Rookie of the Year calculations go, but if one of them makes a playoff and one of them doesn't, I think it'll be fine.
I want one of them to make the playoffs and win Rookie of the Year. And drive in the purple car.
Like I said, I don't know how, like, the points all get calculated in the end, but I think that we have enough races to turn this bitch around. And also, like, I'm pretty sure, like, we know which one's probably going to win Rookie of the Year, okay? I have faith that it'll all work out. With peace and love. It was funny, the commentators, they were, like, fucking up the monster cars all day today.
I'm sick and tired of these monster cars.
Yeah.
Sick.
Even the commentators were like, what if they weren't all monster cars? Have we considered?
There can be one monster car. I feel like 2311 has enough sponsors. You don't have to have
get a Chumba Casino in that bitch.
You got the Chumba Casino, you got the nicotine, you got
the McDonald's, you got the Air Force. Like, you have the Air Force.
Is
like,
great.
Can we not bust out another Air Force? I don't know, whatever. But speaking of monster cars, Ty Gibbs did good.
Yeah.
How do you feel about, like, you're, like, prophesizing that Ty Gibbs everything's going to be okay for Ty Gibbs?
Guys, I've been looking at the numbers, I've been looking at the papers, I've been watching the NASCAR channel. And I just got to say, I have a lot of faith in Ty Gibbs.
Period. You heard it here first. Anyways, IndyCar.
Anywhoosy. Oh, wait.
What?
I just wanted to talk to you about Ricky Stenhouse.
Who
started on the front row, and I was texting Andrea, and I was like, don't fall for the trap of Ricky Stenhouse starting on the front row, because he can't drive in traffic.
Have we considered that he can't drive?
He can't drive. Man can't drive.
I'm gonna be honest, Sunny D. I like you as a beverage. Stop sponsoring that dude.
You gotta get out of there.
Every time I see your logo, it pisses me off. And it's because it's associated with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. fucking with everybody else's race. So, just a thought.
Yeah, I just want to add that in there. Just a little dunk on Ricky Stenhouse. I'm sick and tired of that man.
Got him. Dunked on him.
Get absolutely wrecked. You're bad at your job.
Everybody get wrecked. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. sucks. Wait, did we even talk about how NASCAR got hacked because they couldn't put a dual factor authentication on their shit?
Wait, didn't they only have like 3 days? Or they have like a week to pay the ransom money?
They probably just paid it because they were like, they got dunked on. They were like, you're right, we didn't have a dual factor authentication. Get dunked. Yeah.
Like, some hacker group was like, we've got all these videos and informational documents. Did we figure out what they meant by that? Like, I was like, I don't know. Like nudes or something? Like, what's happening? I think it was all of the employees' sensitive information is what it was.
Oh, social security numbers? Oh, that's fine. Put them out there. Yeah. That's fine.
But I feel like, fuck it. Wasn't the asking price? Oh, the asking price was like $4,000, and we were making the joke that it's like, oh, that's 1/11th of the RWR car that's just in limbo right now.
So, yeah, it's fine.
Good luck, NASCAR.
Good luck, girls. Put dual factor authentication on your shit from now on, please. Like, you're literally a multi-million-dollar business. We gotta figure that out. Anyways, IndyCar. Joseph Newgarden had the worst race of his life. He started on the softs for 2 laps, and then he was like, get wrecked. This shit sucks. And then he came into the pit, and
he was a trendsetter. Like, we saw that, and we were like, whoa, fuck it up, Joseph. Like, everyone followed him.
What did he switch to? Mediums? Hards? fucking
Parts.
I
Well,
don't even know.
there's only 2 tires, so
Oh, primaries and alternates. Okay, whatever. He switched. He was like, "This shit sucks. Get right, bye." And then other people followed, and everybody was like, "Joseph Newgarden might be cooking with gas." Like they were like, "He's actually maybe like he's in the back right now, but maybe that's not representative of what's going to happen once all these strategies play out." We never found out. We never really found out because he had to pit like 4 times.
why? What
Because
happened?
they can't figure out seatbelts, I guess.
Penske having a seatbelt issue?
Never heard of. Penske washed. Heard it here first.
Penske.
Penske's washed. Penske hasn't won a single race this year in IndyCar or NASCAR. Get wrecked. Well, they won a duel in Daytona.
It doesn't count.
So
It was
that-
us and Cindric.
Right. So get wrecked, Penske. You actually suck and you're also washed. So they kept like trying to justify it and being like, sometimes when you're turning the wheel, you actually hit the seatbelt with your arm. I'm like, I just don't think that that's what the fuck is happening. And also like make it a little bit more secure than probably if they're going like 100 and something miles per hour.
And the fact that once again, we're saying this is a thing that can be an issue. Nobody else had that issue. It was just the Penskes who notoriously can't do the seatbelts. So I'm going to infer with my empirical evidence, it's a Penske problem. Sorry, Joseph.
Penske, you have a problem. And that's what you get for going to the White House.
That's what you get. And I know Joseph didn't want to be there. And then you did this to him?
Joseph, can we just talk about how PR trained this man is? Donald Trump is like, how do you keep winning these Indy 500s? And like a fucking robot, he's like, I drink a lot of milk.
Is that what happened?
I was like, this guy's fucking weird. I think Trump said something of like, what are you eating that makes you win all these? Which is also like, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Like, he goes, I drink a lot of milk. I was like, oh, brother.
And then he looked to the camera and he winked.
No, it was like, this guy's like a robot. He's so weird. He's probably going to win the Indy 500 again, isn't he? I don't know. He's just giving weird vibes. I think he's going to win it again. That clip alone, I was like, I think that's the only thing he does now is just win the Indy 500 and be weird. Anyways, sorry about your seatbelt, Joseph. That sucks. Glad you got it fixed, for safety. We should probably get that figured out. What else is happening? Nolan, I missed this. What happened with Nolan Siegel?
He thought his car was broken. He's like, uh-oh, my car's broken. The steering's really funny, or like the wheels are really funny. And it just turned out it was just a buildup of rubber. So
that's pretty embarrassing, probably.
I felt really bad for him. When is he going to catch his break? Because he did so well in all of the practices, didn't do that great in qualifying. And I'm getting nervous that they're going to put him on fraud watch, but I also don't really think they can get rid of him. Because I think
Well, they did say today he had food poisoning, and they made him drive anyways. So that makes me feel like they don't have anybody to.
I was going to say, because if they had someone to put in that number 6, you bet your bottom dollar they're putting someone else in that number 6.
Yep. Who could they put in that number 6? Do they have anybody? And they're like,
yeah, Tony Kanaan.
Fair enough. Yeah. Do they have anybody in the like McLaren development program that's in like F2 or something? What's going on with McLaren? Do you guys have any more drivers? Are you guys in like a Red Bull situation, but like with like IndyCar instead of F1?
I think that's kind of where we're leaning to, because they've burned a lot of bridges. Well, yeah, because Callum Ilott has a seat. Teo's doing something. He's out there. He's doing something. He's been freed like Fred Vesti. I just don't know where he is. Yeah. So.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they should try to rebuild a bridge with a guy who won F2 and doesn't have a seat in any open wheel racing car, and probably try to put him in that. Maybe that would have been good.
That could be a good idea.
Okay, well, keep that in the noggin, because I love Nolan. That's kind of crazy. He's like, my car's broken. It's just marbles on your tire. That's kind of crazy. I'm sorry. That is. With love.
Bless your heart.
Somebody who's not on Fraud Watch, who's actually on goat watch Stingray Rob.
There was like a solid like 15 laps where we were like, is he gonna do we think he's about to I don't
He was in the top 5 for over half the race, I swear. Maybe I made that up in my head. It was a long time.
Yeah, he literally led
for a while.
I don't know.
What do we do? What do we
How'd
do
that
if
happen?
Stingray Rob accidentally wins a race this year? Like, what is the reaction? Like, do we just,
I never thought I'd have to prepare for one.
Yeah, I think we need to start preparing. I think we need to have a response ready, like a federal emergency response in place for if there's a Stingray Rob win. Because, like, it's like, I don't think that was supposed to happen ever.
No, it definitely feels like something's wrong in the timeline. Like, someone time traveled and, like, fucked around a little too much, and now we're seeing Stingray Rob top 10, best finish ever.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Kevin Simpson also had his best finish ever.
Dude, like, seeing Stingray Rob was, like, shocking. And then I looked down one more, and I was like, what the fuck is Kevin Simpson doing? Best finish ever, top 10, fastest lap.
They're crazy. They're crazy. They're out of their mind.
Something's happening. I think they were on the opposite strategy. I think they were on the same one as Christian Lundgaard. Maybe. It could have been strategy. Could have been vibes.
Who also crashed and got his car rebuilt, and then ended up finishing 3rd. This is, I think, his 2nd podium of the year. And he's, I think, the top of the McLarens in the Drivers' Championship.
He's sitting in 3rd in the Drivers' Championship right now, which him coming into McLaren this year, he, like, so blatantly, he has said to everyone, he's like, I'm here to beat Pato. Like, that's what I'm doing here. I'm here to be the number 1 driver. And even the broadcast was like, in a car that was essentially built for Pato, my man got 3rd. He got a podium, which is really exciting.
He's been saying that he is not comfortable in this car either. He's been saying, like, it's very different from the car that he drove last. Like, he's not comfortable. It's not what he's used to, and he's still figuring things out. If he's still figuring things out, I think we should be very scared.
Crazy.
How is he on ovals?
Not as great. But he's not. The issue is he's been doing ovals in an RLL, which is, like, famous for, like, well, at least in the past few years, for being horrific on ovals. So, could be fun. Maybe he's got something that we just haven't tapped into yet.
Yeah, we might see the tide shift then when it gets to ovals, because obviously Pato has, like, shown that he knows what he's doing on ovals, and if the car is built for him and if he is still the favorite in the team, then it's going to continue probably that way. And maybe Pato has just been struggling more with street courses than he has previously. He's been pretty anonymous he wasn't anonymous last race because he was in 2nd but should have been in 1st. But the first race of the season and then this race, I felt like I didn't hear or see Pato once.
Yeah.
Pretty strange. Maybe it's so he wins the Indy 500.
That's it. He's doing the sneaky thing. He's pulling out his transmission.
Well, I would keep that one plugged in. I would keep that one plugged in personally.
It is really interesting, though. I wonder how the dynamic, because we know what McLaren is, like, famous for, like, favoring one driver and being like, no, we're going to make sure the driver that we've already picked one. Like, we can't let any of the other ones win. It cannot
change no matter how the dynamics of the championship change. We must stay behind this one driver.
I'm interested to see how that works in the future.
Okay, I'm on Christian Lundgaard and Oscar Piastri watch.
I think it
sucks because I like Pato. I'm not wishing bad on Pato, but I am. Christian Lundgaard is, like, fighting for a spot that he is not guaranteed as much as Pato is. He has to fight to keep a seat there.
Especially because it seems like Pato is underperforming in the car that they have.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad saying that, but he is. Especially if he's on, like, Cadillac watch. Like,
are we prepared for, like, I think this might be the last episode of Lapstone ever because we've hated on both Lando and Pato. I think that our microphones are going to burst into flame.
I love Pato.
Me too.
I would never hate on him. I'm critiquing him because I want to see the best out of him. Yeah, with Lando, I'm just shitting on him because he's making me angry.
Right. I think that Pato will be fine once we get to ovals. I think that that's where he has probably been focusing a lot of his effort on, like, getting wins and stuff like that. And yeah, I think he'll be fine.
He'll be fine. It's just cool to see Christian do well for once.
Exactly. And then it was interesting. They kind of had this other storyline happening. And I don't know if it's one that was completely made up by the commentators. I'm curious, like, what Kyle Kirkwood would say. But they took, like, one line that Kyle Kirkwood said where he said that he was watching Alex Palou while he was behind him in St. Pete make the most out of the end of stints. So, like, absolutely send it on laps, like, right before he came into pit. And the commentators ran with this as he has been studying Alex Palou's racecraft. And every time Alex Palou tried to pass him today, they were like, sorry, buddy, you're not so sneaky anymore. Kyle Kirkwood has learned your ways. He's the new Alex Palou. It was crazy. But I don't know. I mean, I think that Kyle Kirkwood did put on a fucking clinic today, kind of. I mean, he had so much push to pass left over that he was like, okay, Alex Palou's behind me. That's fine. I have like 40 more seconds of push to pass than him. So good luck, buddy. He didn't even end up using it all. And they just put on a clinic till the end. I think the last 10 laps, it was like, this is Kyle Kirkwood's moment. He was killing it.
He did a great job. He was very calm, cool, and collected. But he had good confidence going in. The interviews he was doing before where he was like,
he's a merchant.
Yeah, some would call me a street course merchant.
I feel like you can't ever say stuff like that because it'll like bite you in the ass. But I'm glad it didn't for this one. You know what I mean? But I did see that interview and I was like, don't say that.
Bless his heart. It worked out though, so I'll take it.
Call me a street course merchant. I'm out here in the world marketplace of street courses, wielding deals.
That's crazy.
I'm right up there in the Hall of Fame with Checo, King of the Streets.
King of the Streets is still so crazy.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of Checo, Pato had like a little bit of an interview earlier this week where they were talking about, someone had asked him about like a Checo Pato lineup, and he was just kind of like, Cadillac doesn't even know what they're missing out on. Like, this would be huge for like the entire world.
He said the entire, Mr. Worldwide, the whole world will be watching. Everybody wants a Checo award lineup. It makes it sound like it's not happening.
That's what, yeah, you kind of mentioned that where you're kind of like, oh, so they're not even like talking to him about it. Which I kind of said on live this week where I was like, there's no way McLaren's going to give him up to a different F1 team. And we know how stingy they are with contracts. Like,
they'll take his ass to court.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder how that's going. I should look.
You're going to jail. What if they're like the next race? Like they're like, oh, like Palou's not competing. He's in jail.
He's in prison.
It was a civil suit. And they were like, I don't know.
I don't know how he did it.
He's in jail.
Zach got him in jail. In Bahrain. I don't know how it happened.
No, I agree. Especially like I think people need to just like zoom out and be like, okay, if we're talking about Pato going to F1, think about the dynamics on the McLaren F1 team. I know that they have contracts for Lando and Oscar, but we have to be serious here. That doesn't mean shit in F1. And it's very likely that if it comes down to a teammate battle this year between Lando and Oscar and it gets nasty, they're going to always need that third option that they know can actually deliver. It can't just be some rando out of F2. And Pato has been putting in the time with the team. He's been their reserve driver for 2 years now. And they are not going to give him to a competitor. Like, it's not even like he'd be like released to go to a different series. Like, we're literally talking about,
no,
he would be on the grid next to their car. Like, they're not going to do that.
It's just not realistic, which is why I'm kind of losing hope on anybody. Not that I ever wanted anybody from IndyCar go to Cadillac, but I don't know. It's none of my business until they tell us.
I don't know. Maybe, you know how sometimes people say stuff in the media just to like kind of force their hand a little bit in negotiations? Like maybe Pato was just like messing around a little bit to see if he could like get the attention of Cadillac, or maybe he's trying to like force their hand a little bit in negotiations. I don't know. But I don't have very much confidence anymore that we're going to see Pato in an F1 car unless it's an orange one.
Or Checo. I feel that way about Checo. It's just because I don't know what he's... I would love to see him back, but I'm also kind of like, what is Checo doing right now?
I don't know. But I love how we have like the delegation. Like we hear about Checo through Pato and Daniel Suarez. Like when they were asking Daniel Suarez, like, is Checo going to do the NASCAR race? He was like, Checo's in a complicated point right now in his career in which he's focused mainly on F1 still. And I was like, where are you getting these talking points?
Did he tell you this? Did his PR person reach out to you and tell you to say this?
What is happening? But you know what this is a side note. We can cut this out if it's not interesting. But
okay.
I just realized, like, what is the relationship between Daniel's wife being sisters who's dating Max, and then Max and Checo are in love, and then Daniel Suarez is the third wheel?
It's kind of like he's like 2 degrees separate. He's far enough away from Checo, I feel like, unless they're friends, which I don't think I've ever been led to believe. Yeah, are they friends?
I don't know. He knows everything about his life, and he knows how to speak on it in an interview.
It's like, it feels like you guys are friends, but I was like, I've never seen you hang out. You never posted it on your Snapchat. How would I know? He's never been in your vlog, and I'm supposed to believe you're friends?
Do you think, because the vlog series is called like Race to Mexico City, do you think Checo will be in the vlog?
No, Checo's focused on F1.
Well, he might be there.
No, he's focused on F1. And he's focused on F1 at Disney World.
With his kids.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Honestly,
anyways.
Hell yeah.
And it doesn't even matter, this whole IndyCar thing with McLaren anyways, because they're joining WEC and they're going to get rid of their IndyCar team, so.
They're going to get rid of every single other team besides their WEC team. I've already decided.
It's my house. The sirens are coming for me. Because I talked bad about Lando and Pato. They're here. I have to go. So yeah, you think they're going to get rid of their Formula E team. I think they're going to get rid of their IndyCar team.
I don't think they'll get rid of IndyCar because I think it's a good placeholder for the reserve driver. I think it's a good. They're like, well, we gotta keep him training. I'm almost 100% positive they're gonna get rid of their Formula E team because I think it's gonna be the one that is less monetarily gainful to them.
Well, that's sad. We didn't watch Formula E this week, so we're contributing to that problem.
I'll watch it. There was just 900 other things.
No, I'm going to watch it. I think I'm going to watch it tomorrow. Maybe we'll talk about it on the live. I probably will too. Let's talk about it on the live. If you guys want to talk about Formula E, we'll talk about it on the live. We'll go live on Wednesday. Like we usually do, probably. Maybe. We actually didn't discuss this. Do you want to go live on Wednesday?
I think that sounds lovely. But we'll post. Usually on Instagram we post, and we'll post a little thing on the TikTok. Tiki-taki.
So we'll go live, and we'll talk about Formula E. We had something that we recorded this week. I don't know when we're going to put it up, but it's the book club-ish related thing that we discussed earlier, and I think it's quite funny. We are recording another Lapped Traffic soon with our special guest that will probably come up the week of the 20-something-ish. And we also are recording an episode in which we will be a guest for. So keep an eye out for that. We'll probably share that when that comes out. So if you want to see us looking very uncomfortable, maybe because it's on a podcast that we are not running. I don't know. I'm nervous. I've never been a guest before on somebody else's pod.
I'm nervous too.
What questions do you think they're going to ask us?
I hope they're easy ones.
Can we not get the hard ones?
Please.
And thank you to everybody who has been leaving us reviews It is extremely appreciated. If you haven't already, please give us a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Be sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube at LapsDownPod. And I think that is that on this episode. Do you think so?
I think so.
That is delightful. Alrighty, we'll say bye then. Bye.
Bye.